Salutations, my beloved friends, and welcome back to Rip Daddy's House. I'm Dave Makes Noises. You are here for some stories, so let's ask the Rippers of Reddit, what are some ideas that started as a random joke from the player but evolved into so much more? Part 1. I'll go first. As I write this, I'm playing through Dragon Heist, and we are staying relatively close to the plot, I believe. So, to get to the bulk of the story, one of the players, character name Windstrike, adopted 25 cats for pretty much no reason. Soon, a particular one catches his eye as it blows raspberries at him. He soon names it Putin and has it follow us around through streets, sewers, and more. After 30 minutes, he begins to talk to Putin, and the DM, as a joke, made Putin squeak back in his character's head. Next session comes and the conversations begin to take a turn. Putin starts to act like he's above people, with him still taking a liking to Windstrike. This attitude continues for the next session or two until, while dreaming, Windstrike sees Putin as he slashes his chest, swearing a contract in blood that he will become his, with a "you must take Warlock next level or else" added on. We were already joking about this and his player was fine with it. Shortly after waking, Putin seemingly disappeared, though Windstrike could still communicate with him, who, turns out, had left that plane to his rightful one. I can't wait till we hit a level up to see what happens. In the session 0 for my first ever time playing D&D, I asked if I could remove the penis of an enemy I defeated. That became the character's defining trait, as now his whole story revolves around removing the penises of other enemies due to the loss of his own as a child, and the search for the chosen one, in which he has to grasp the penis of in order to get his own back. It has gone so far to have an enchanted frozen penis and cut off the one of a fallen party member. My character, in my current pirate-themed campaign, had what I thought was a small character quirk. He grew up only being able to afford fish, so he hates the taste of fish. This led to my other crewmates trying to get me to eat fish, teasing me by putting fish in my face, etc. It culminated in our ship being attacked by a big sea monster where we were almost wiped out. My character was not the only one to get frightened during the fight, but after a series of very low rolls, it caused him to have an existential crisis, and now he is actively afraid of fish. Now, because our ship was damaged, we need to get a new one, and the crew wants to get a fish-shaped figurehead for it. That's great. Here's a great example. When I started my first in-person campaign, I had my players come up to me for them to use a homebrew class, this being a stand user from JoJo's Bizarre Adventure. I let this occur as I didn't know much about it, and I was pretty new as a DM, but really determined. This action would lead to me learning more about JoJo and basically turning the campaign into a hybrid of fantasy and references, that of which leading to the implementation of Dio, who for all intents and purposes is the big bad evil guy of the whole campaign, along with elements of abyssal eldritch horrors working together. It has shaped a lot of the story, along with other player interaction, and has made the campaign intense, a lot of adventuring situations, along with a looming threat that seeks to kill the player's bloodline and rule over the entire world. The more I learned about JoJo and being a DM in general has made the campaign into a symphony of fun and madness. Also with that, another player suggested a setting for the campaign, which was Sky Cities. And these two things from my first two players made this campaign into a truly special experience. Speaking on that, I'm going to make a post to recruit some new players later on. I had some drops due to schedule and jobs. In one campaign, the DM introduced a female NPC as being exceptionally tall. She was a half Goliath and was about 7'2". She was literally there just to deliver a message to one of our party members and then leave. My character was a human male paladin who was 6'6" and was thus used to being the tallest one in the room. Seeing someone taller than him caught his attention. Seeing a pretty woman who was taller than him blew his mind. I had never really planned on playing this particular character to begin with, so I didn't really have anything planned for him aside from playing him as a bit of a goof. A paladin who didn't know how to paladin. So I thought it'd be funny to have him randomly blurt out, "You're really tall!" My paladin was also a 21-year-old version and had 9 intelligence and 8 wisdom. So not the smartest or wisest of fellows, and had 0 experience with women. Somehow his randomness won her over, and she ended up agreeing to go on what would end up being the most awkwardly cute first date with him. She soon became a member of the party and later married my character. I also have a cat one, actually. My groups and I do one-shots based around the holidays, and it was my turn with the holiday as Thanksgiving. At the very beginning, perception was rolled. I had nothing at the time and said, "There's a cat at the edge of the stream." My friend, who was playing an expansive multi-class character for fun but was primarily paladin, asked to make the cat his familiar. I said, "Why not?" and didn't even have him roll for it, and had the cat talk about lasagna and chicken. Later, they were fighting a giant turnkey, and Paladin was like, "Garfield attack!" I have him roll percentile dice, and he gets 69. Nice. Now we treat 69 like a 100 when rolling for random stuff like this. Nice. I describe as Garfield saunters up and grows to the size of a mid-sized mobile home and smacks the giant turkey away. Eventually, the session ends, and we decide that Garfield is a constant companion when in one-shots, such as the time a cat was sitting watching the team fight a drake. We keep him out of our main campaign except in cameos. In the third campaign I was DMing, in session 0, we developed a running joke because my players hit some poor guy in the middle of the stairs, and he ended up falling and rolling down the stairs with really heavy armor. The dude stayed on the floor as all my players passed over his body that is probably really broken at this point. Even one of my players taking his phone and calling the girlfriend of this guy to tell her that he might need an ambulance. Eventually, the poor dude almost died of all the times all my players hit him. So this eventually grew into the joke that mostly 80% of the time, he would get squashed, hit, or almost killed if he just appeared in the scene. And no, my players aren't murder hobos. They only make questionable decisions that almost every time hurt someone. Well, mostly this guy. My entire campaign setting started out with a simple joke premise from an anime. I couldn't be a hero, so I got a job instead. Essentially, the player characters were trained to be heroes, but on the day they were supposed to graduate, the big bad evil guy was defeated. Now you have a bunch of student-age people who have extreme combat and magical skills, but no practical experience with other things. It started out as just that, a simple, silly idea, and grew into something else as the players decided to go visit the defeated empire, and set about doing reforms rather than just leaving them to wallow in anger and pity. The campaign world at this point, about 500 years after the PC's involvement, now has a cold war between the Empire, with its democratically picked leaders, and the Kingdom with its religious fanatics. Did I mention the Kingdom is humanocentric, that they are the aggressors most of the time, and that they committed near genocide on the elves because they wouldn't surrender, and have dwarven house servants taken from their own homes and enslaved? They aren't nice people. This all stems from the fact that the one player who played as a human paladin played them up as an arrogant jerk to anyone who wasn't human, or perceived as human. I had created a series of underground markets for illegal items in a campaign. Now, to get it, you had to write a secret code on a specific door in the city. Because one of my players jokingly saying that the market has to be in a different dimension, because how could such a market be undetected in a city filled with magic, I decided to turn it into just that. Now you just have to write the secret code on any door and it opens a portal to the interdimensional market. That's pretty cool. I like that. My first ever campaign was Curse of Strahd. I joined halfway through the campaign and was playing as a rogue wood elf named Fluffykins. We called him Fluffy. In one of the first sessions we played, the party stumbled upon a wall of magical fire. The group was debating how to get past it when Fluffy interjects, "Why don't we try peeing on it?" Needless to say, it didn't work, but became a joke among the party. Anyway, we were faced with a problem. They'd ask Fluffy if he was going to pee on it. It even went so far as a party member using a spell to rip a portrait of Strahd off a wall so they could have Fluffy urinate on it as a statement. Naturally, one of the last things Fluffy did was pee on Strahd after we defeated him. Fluffy and his methods are still brought up by someone in every campaign we play. In a homebrew one-shot I ran, the players had to save a local village from a hag that was cursing the village crops and stealing children from the village. With the help of the local warrior, they defeated her. I wanted to add a little bit more after, so it's not an anticlimactic ending. I put a split path, one ending the story and the other more interesting. So for backstory, one of our party members and friends wanted to run a campaign based around Greece, with most of the traveling taking place on a ship, going from island to island to do campaign hooks. Much like Assassin's Creed Odyssey. So we were discussing ship names for our crew before the campaign, and most of our names got shut down. Thus, our recurring joke was born. Back to the main story. The split path led to the ocean. Sitting on the beach, 2 corpses, 2 pouches of gold, and some weapons. And beached right there, a ship named the SS Hoosier Daddy. That's it. That's the joke. The players entered the boat and took off onto the wide open sea. Then it appeared in our run of Strahd, our run of Descent into Avernus, and we plan to include it in other campaigns and one-shots. It has been dubbed as a plane-jumping, all-knowing powerhouse of a ship with some insane creatures aboard. Hello, my beloved bundles of beaming beautiful bliss, and thank you for bending your brainwaves in the direction of this video to the very end. If you have a random joke from your campaign that far exceeded its expected shelf life, please do share it in the comments. If you have another story you'd like to share with us, please share it in our official subreddit r/MrRipper, where we gather the vast majorities of the stories that we share on this channel. As well, if you join us on Sunday for our storytelling streams, you may even be able to request that we narrate your story live to air. Technology is amazing. As well, if you'd like to join us for some actual D&D, come say what's up on Saturdays over at Fire and Dice. If you're a DM or a player looking for a group, check out Mr. Ripper's Group Finder Discord server, where over 3,000 nerdos are looking to roll dice with you. And of course, if you find yourself curious about the noises Dave makes, you can find me, Dave Makes Noises, on TikTok at Dave Makes Noises. I hope this week that you make time to strategize the next attainable step towards realizing your highest purpose. Thank you so much again for watching. Please sub for Nat 20s and ding that dong to join the early squad and flex your punctuality on all those plebes who did not ding the dong. We appreciate you so much here at Rip Daddy's house, and we're glad we get to geek out on tabletop games with all you sweet, amazing sparks of the infinite. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and we will see you next time.